Abnormal Andy, and Phantom Dark Dave. The Screaming Skull Podcast.
Welcome to the Screaming Skull Podcast, a place where horror fans can feel at home. And my name is Abnormal Andy. Dave, jeez, okay.
Have you done this before? We should leave that in. That's funny.
Yeah. Very good. And I'm one of your hosts, Abnormal Andy. And my other host is Phantom Dark Dave. Dave, how you doing tonight?
I'm a little bummed out. You know, Halloween's over, man.
I know, man. October always goes by so fast.
For a horror fan, it's horror and Halloween every day, all year long. But as I mentioned before, when October rolls around, something about it just feels amplified. It's even more special in your heart. And then as soon as it's over, you just see like all the decorations coming down and everything goes on clearance. And though my budget likes it, my heart kind of hurts a little bit. And so luckily, though, you know, Christmas is around the corner and there's some pretty cool Christmas horror movies. And so I'm excited to get to that when we do.
Oh, yeah, there's some great ones out there. I mean, there's something about Christmas horror, you know, so that'll definitely be fun to talk about.
For sure, man. But we got some cool stuff for today, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be a fun episode.
Well, yeah, because you get to talk about something I know nothing about.
Yeah. So I guess nobody out there knows, but me and my wife went on a vacation here recently, and we went to the country of Honduras. Went out of the country. And had a great time, and so I just thought I would take a little bit here. We're gonna kind of break away from our normal routine, and instead of doing horror news, I'm just gonna talk about my Honduras trip.
Doing Andy news.
Yeah, Andy news, and maybe share a little bit about Honduran horror movies that I found.
Yeah, we might as well just tell everybody what's today's episode, man. So we're gonna start off with some talk about your trip. Is this the first time you've been there?
No, this will be number 3.
My goodness. Okay. Well, you'll have to let us know if third time was a charm. But then I'm really excited because after we hear all about your trip, we get to do our first ever top 5 on the podcast.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. It's top 5 locations in horror.
Yeah, and that's going to be real creative. I'm hoping that you put pen to paper with that one, man, and came up with some pretty cool stuff. Because I was like, we cannot have some too many similarities, but we like some of the same horror movies. We'll see if we like some of the same horror places. But if I'm being honest, I'm even more excited about our main event.
Yeah, the main event. We're going to be talking about a really cool movie called Late Night with the Devil.
Did that start out? I know it had a limited theatrical release, but it was a Shudder thing, right?
Yeah, it's on Shudder now. It did come out in the theater. I actually saw it in the theater.
You bastard.
At my local AMC.
Shout out to cool. AMC. Your sliders suck. What? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So if you haven't seen Late Night with the Devil, it's on Shudder. Watch it before this podcast. We'll do top 5 places in horror. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll try not to spoil too much with that, but it is what it is. But man, I'm shaking my hands. I'm excited because I've never been to the country of Honduras. I know nothing about it, but I'm gonna let you educate me and the screamers. Andy, let's get into it, man. Let's hear about the trip.
Yeah, so everybody out there may be wondering, why Honduras? It doesn't quite seem like the vacation destination that people normally would think of. Well, so my wife, she was an English teacher for 2 years down in Honduras. And so she met a lot of people. She had like a host family while she lived there. And she made a lot of great friends while she lived there. So when we started dating, I found out about this. And she said that she likes to go back there on a regular basis. And I was like, cool, I've never been there. So like right before we got married back in 2013, we went down to Honduras and had my first experience there, and met a lot of her friends at that point. And then we went back in 2015, and after we were married, and it was a great time there too. And mainly we stayed in the capital city of Tegucigalpa, and it's like a big city. It's probably it is the biggest city in the country, and a lot of hustle and bustle, concrete jungle type of thing. So after that, it's been quite some time, since we've been down there, because it was 2015 was the last time we went down, and we were really wanting to go back down, but just finances didn't work out. But it's interesting, since that time we've met some new friends. We've made some new friends in Honduras. It's a couple that actually have a business that they sell merchandise, and they come up here and buy it. They buy pallets of new merchandise and take it back down to Honduras and sell it. And they're kind of like their own little Amazon. And people may be thinking, well, why can't they just order stuff off Amazon in Honduras? Well, the main thing is they don't have a mail system.
Whoa.
There are no addresses really in Honduras. They have GPS.
So they go by like coordinates?
No, you basically just type in the name of the town or city you want to go to. You go there, and then you have to figure out where it is from there.
What?
They do have, now I will take that back. Like on Apple Maps, I noticed they do have business names on there and things like that. So if it was like a prominent business in that area, you might be able to find it. But for little smaller places or people's houses, you just have to kind of know where it's at, go by landmarks. So anyway, so they have that business. They do pretty good for themselves. So we made friends with them. They came and stayed with us because they were needing a place to stay up here when they would come up here and buy merchandise. They since have got an apartment up here to stay at, but we became fast friends. And so this time, whenever we decided we wanted to come back down, they said, hey, you can stay with us and we'll take you around the whole country and see the sights. We're like, awesome. So in October, this last month, it worked out for us financially to go. And so we went, and it actually almost didn't happen because my wife, 2 days before we were supposed to leave, found out that her passport is expired.
Oh my gosh.
And she thought that she had one more year on it, but found out, no, it expired this year. And so we were really panicking, thinking that we weren't going to get to go. And, to make a long story short, there are several passport offices around the country. And the closest one to me here in Kansas is in Arkansas. So it's like a 6.5 hour drive. So Thursday night, get off work, and we drive down to Arkansas, and we get the appointment first thing in the morning on Friday, and bam, we get our passport same day. So that was really awesome.
Were you guys listening to Halloween music in the car?
No, not really. But
missed opportunity.
Yeah. But anyway, so we made it down there, and I will say it is quite the experience. Honduras is a developing country. Tegucigalpa itself, the capital city, is a big, modernized city, and the roads are pretty good there. But once you kind of get out of the city, the roads can be kind of rough. Like, there's a lot of dirt roads. Like, when you're looking at GPS, and you're like saying, okay, I'm going to go from point A to point B, you really don't know what the roads are going to be like between those 2 points. Like, the first night we were there, our destination was, I don't know exactly how far it was, because it's in kilometers down there, so I don't know how far it was. But it took us 5 hours to get there, and we were driving through these dirt roads, paved roads with big old potholes,
yeah.
And we were constantly swerving around these potholes, driving around through like dirt roads with ruts in them. And every little town you come to, they have speed bumps like every 500 feet. So you had to slow down and go over these speed bumps. So it really made progress slow.
Sounds like driving through the parking lot of an apartment complex.
Exactly, yeah. For 5 hours. But
never done it.
But, it was an amazing experience. And like I said, this is the third time for me going down there. So I kind of know what to expect. And I would say for somebody who is not, like, somebody who's just a casual traveler, I probably wouldn't recommend going to a place like Honduras on your first international
I'm looking
trip.
at Google, and it says that it is a poor country, like the poorest of demographics. And so I was just wondering what the sites were like down there. Is it kind of rough? I mean, the roads are rough apparently, but...
Yeah, the infrastructure is pretty rough, and you will see a lot of poverty when you go down there. You see a lot of people just kind of living in little
I was going to say, is it like shack-type homes rather than like large apartment buildings where like a whole bunch of people live inside?
Like in the capital city, it's more just regular, like, houses, apartment buildings, things like that. But even on, like, the side of major roads, you're going to see, like, these tin shack-looking things. And people will sell, like, things out of them. And
bro, it says that Honduras has got the highest murder rate in the world. Like, I can't believe you made it back. You've been 3 times.
Yeah, me and my wife have talked about that. Like, she kind of knew about that. But so here's the thing about Honduras. Like, us as Americans going down there, we're fine because the gangs, the cartels, whatever, they're not going to mess with Americans for the most part. As long as you just kind of mind your own business, stay out
Look
of
the
their
other
area,
way.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of stay out of their area. Don't go any like weird areas that and our friends kind of know the areas to kind of go, because our friends were driving us around the whole time, which is really great.
That's probably makes you feel a lot better. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, because they kind of know the area. And
I remember talking to you about it because you went and you spent Halloween there, and you said that like for the most part there isn't much going on Halloween related, but you came across a couple places luckily.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, traditionally with Honduras, there's a lot of Catholic and Christians there, so it's a very religious country. So they don't really, so they're very hesitant to celebrate Halloween, even though it has made kind of a foothold down there here recently. You kind of see it little by little, kind of making its way. There's stores now that are selling Halloween decorations, and I shared a picture with Dave at this one party store. They had a jigsaw mask and they had a Freddy glove.
Yeah.
And,
did you get the Freddy glove?
I did not. I didn't.
You literally just said on the last episode, I wish I had a Freddy glove. You go to Honduras, you find a Freddy glove in Honduras, and you still don't get it.
I know. Yeah, it probably would have been a little bit cheaper down there too. I don't know.
Bro, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'd fit right in down there. I'm Christian and poor as fuck.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But, no, it's interesting. So, talking about money, like, so their currency is called the Lempira, and it's 25 Lempira to $1. That's the exchange rate.
Okay. It's a quarter of it.
Now, things are, you would think, oh, I can go there and just live off like $5. Well, things, as far as food and stuff like that, it's priced about the same as it is here. Except for, it's funny, here we have the $5 biggie bag at Wendy's.
Yeah.
There it's a $6 biggie bag.
Oh, wait, so they had a Wendy's?
Oh, yeah, they had a Wendy's.
Did they have a Taco Bell? That's like my number one.
No, they do not. No Taco Bell.
If there's not a Taco Bell or a half-price Books in the vicinity, I'm out.
Yeah, no, that was another thing. There was no like bookstore. Well, okay, I take that back. I did see one small bookstore.
Yeah, but it's probably just a dude selling books out of a shack.
Yeah, it was like a touristy area, so they did have H.P. Lovecraft book there. I saw.
Word, okay.
Now I don't know if it was all in Spanish or not. I didn't actually look at the books, but they had like some of the older classics and stuff like that. And like I said, it was a touristy area, so they have that. They probably have more international people coming through that might actually read. Well, okay, I take that back.
Some like multicultural that can read different languages. I get you, bro.
Yeah.
I got Google Translate. I ain't tripping.
But I mean, people read. People are intelligent down there. But like there are less opportunities.
Audiobooks is where
people.
It's at, Andy. You know this.
Yeah. And that's the thing with a lot of people. They don't have like a lot of physical media, but down there, but they do have like movies they can download and things like that. They can stream. They don't have Tubi down there. I tried to watch a movie on Tubi, and there's no Tubi in Honduras. So I was kind of disappointed.
Shout out to Tubi. We're gonna write them a letter that they need to fix that. People in Honduras want to see some movies.
Yeah,
and they got the free library. Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, I did spend Halloween down there. Okay. And I was, we had kind of had some downtime on Halloween night, so I wanted to watch a scary movie. My wife kind of did her own thing. We were at our friend's house. So I found a movie to watch called Cobweb. Ooh. And I think it's like a new movie just came out.
I saw it on Hulu. I haven't watched it yet. Is it worth watching?
Yeah, it's worth watching. I liked it a lot, actually.
Is it worth doing on the podcast sometime?
Sure, yeah. That'd be fun.
Cool. Pencil it in.
Anyway, just kind of a quick recap of some of the sites I saw. They had Mayan ruins down there we checked out. They had a big lake. We kind of hiked up a mountain, which is kind of cool. And we saw, ate lots of food while we were there. Tried some of the local food. That we went to this fried fish restaurant right beside the lake, and it was a beautiful scenery. But when they say fried fish, they don't mean like a fish fillet. They mean an actual fish.
I was gonna say they catch the fish and they fry it right there, right?
Exactly.
Did it have the head and everything?
Oh yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay. I ate some fish from Long John Silver's the other day. That's close.
There you go.
Okay.
Trying to think of what other cool things. So we were at this mall in the capital city just hanging out one day. And they had a special event there. And I heard there was like a string quartet or something like that. And they played the Thriller song, but on like violins.
That's incredible.
So that was pretty cool.
Did you do the dance? No, you should have busted it out. You and Jennifer Garner. It would have been awesome.
Oh, yeah. So that's kind of like so that's basically my trip. It was great.
And how
We saw
long
a
were
lot
you
of
down there?
things. So we were down there for like 8 days.
8 days in Honduras, man. So I know you said you had the fried fish. Was there any big or like food in demand down there? You know, like America, we're we can eat everything here, but I would assume like Louisiana, like Cajun food is probably really big. So like over there, did they seem to push one big thing over another? Like, could you tell what the hot spot was?
Yeah. So some of the typical food is like for us, like eggs and bacon for breakfast, but down there it's like beans and tortillas, and they have this like cheese. It's called Oaxacan cheese, and it's kind of like a mozzarella, and they have this stuff called mantequilla, and it's like a buttery kind of cheesy thing you pour over your eggs.
Oh my God,
eggs.
you are making people so hungry right now. You got full descriptive. Okay.
Oh yeah, and like fried eggs are big too. So that was so that was my breakfast. They have these things called pupusas, which are like a really thick tortilla with like stuff inside, like beans or cheese.
Is it like flour or corn tortilla?
Mostly corn. Yeah.
Okay, it's a little more authentic then.
Yeah, and then they also have these things called baleadas, and it's basically like a tortilla with refried beans and cheese and the cheese sauce kind of in there and cooked up. So. Folded up in there, cooked. You kind of eat it like a quesadilla almost.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That sounds extremely good. Did you see anybody drinking Monster down there?
No, they did have some energy drinks. Oh, you know what? You have to be 18 to buy energy drinks down there.
Makes sense. That's a responsible thing to do.
Yeah. At the grocery store, they have plenty of. Yeah, I think they have Monster down there. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, it's a totally different culture down there. I mean,
what was the weather like?
The weather was beautiful. It was like 70s, 80s the whole time.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It was rainy because it's like towards the end of the rainy season right now.
Okay.
But it's weird because, they don't typically celebrate Halloween. So it's like once fall hits, it like turns into Christmas time down there. So you see a lot more Christmas decorations and stuff like it during the fall time.
Maybe that's what started it, the early Christmas traditions.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit about Honduras. I mean, it was an amazing trip. I don't know. Yeah, I would say like if you're curious about going there, go to the capital city, but maybe have somebody drive you around because the traffic is crazy. Everybody's very aggressive when they're driving.
What are the cars like down there? Is there?
They have lots of Hondas. There's a lot of Honda Fits, which I was happy to see.
Honda, Honduras. That makes sense.
Yeah. There's lots of kind of Toyotas, things like that. There's a lot of motorcycles, because that's kind of the more
like motorcycles
vehicle.
Or like mopeds.
Motorcycles, like dirt bikes, stuff like that. A lot of people riding those kind of things because that's just what's affordable. You can buy a motorcycle down there for $200-$300. And like the maintenance on them is like $10, so
Holy
they're really
moly.
cheap to own. Yeah.
Now, when you say $10, do you mean $10 or what do you say, lira or whatever?
No, it's a $10.
Okay.
Is like how much it costs to maintain them, which is still very cheap. And some of the
did you dress in a
areas,
business suit when you went down there and look all rich and stuff?
Yeah, that's why.
Is that where that picture came from, Andy? You know what I'm talking about with the hat.
Yeah.
We should post that. Oh, we should. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Like this was Andy on his Honduras trip.
Yeah, that'd be great. But talking more about vehicles, some of the touristy areas there had these things called tuk-tuks, and they're like little motorized. They have like 3 wheels. They have one in the front, 2 in the back, and they're like these little. I don't even know. If you just Google tuk-tuk, you'll see what it is. But it's kind of like a little motorized carriage thing.
Okay.
You get in the back of it. It's like kind of like a stagecoach looking thing, but with wheels.
I see it. Yeah, I'll be damned. I was afraid what was going to come up when I typed in tuk-tuk, but no, it calls it a tuk-tuk taxi on road, and I don't know how to say this correctly, but there's several movies I've seen where they were international based, and this is like a typical vehicle that you see, so it's definitely got to be popular in places that have kind of like the either more crowded or narrow roads. This often comes up. So
yeah, definitely.
I never knew the name though. That's kind of catchy. It's a tuk tuk. I'm gonna ask Julie later if she wants to do the tuk tuk. Hey.
But traffic is crazy. Like, everybody drives very aggressively down there. But
Right.
the one interesting point is, or the thing I observed, was there was no road rage.
What? But you said aggressive. Like, that kind of becomes the same thing, right?
They're very aggressive, but there's like no road rage. It's just expected that you drive like an asshole, basically.
Okay. Do they have traffic lights or stop signs or both?
They do, but it's kind of more of a suggestion down there.
Drive at your own will, yeah.
Basically, I mean, and like if they're doing road construction, like there was this one highway that we would have to travel down when we leave our friend's house, like during the day, and they had like one direction closed off at a time, and that direction would be closed for like 30 minutes to an hour. You'd just be sitting there waiting. So whenever we would get to that spot, we'd never know how long we'd have to wait to get through the construction. And that is one thing. It always takes longer to get places just because of the road conditions, construction, and traffic. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about my experience and being down there. It made me think more about Honduran culture and about, I wanted to see, hey, I'm a horror movie fan. What does Honduras have to offer as far as horror movies? So I did a bit of research, and there was a guy by the name of Juan Carlos Fanconi. He is a writer, director, producer, and he actually made kind of the first bigger budgeted horror movie. I don't know if there's anything before that, but he made one back in 2002, and it's called, basically translated, it's Midnight Souls is what it means, translated. And the plot is 6 college students investigate the death of a journalist in a village in Honduras. So this movie, I tracked it down on YouTube. That's the one place I could find it. And there's no subtitles. It's all in Spanish. So I just actually started watching it yesterday. And it's not bad from what I've seen. I mean, so far, not much has happened because I'm kind of in the beginning. But it is a little hard to tell what the movie is, what's going on with the movie, but you can kind of piece together things here and there. I did find a couple of other movies that I actually watched. There was one called, and this one's on Tubi actually. It's called Sambo Creek: The Return of La Llorona.
Ooh.
And it was released in 2021. And this one was actually filmed in Honduras. And so if you want to kind of see what Honduras is like the scenery and stuff, these are some good movies to watch. Like Midnight Souls is a good one to look at if you want to see what the capital city was like back in the early 2000s.
I'm trying to find Midnight Souls on IMDb, and I cannot find it.
Yeah, you might. It's something where you might have to type in the Spanish name, which yeah.
Okay. Do that on my own time. Got it.
But I can say it for you if you want to look it up. But,
yeah, go for it.
Almas de la Medianoche.
Yeah, let me get right on that.
ALMAS.
Oh, wait. ALMAS. Okay.
DE.
Okay.
LA.
Uh-huh.
Media. And then Noche.
Okay, yeah, I found it. So hold on a second. So you're learning some. I mean, I'm gonna sound stupid as shit, but is this Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Spanish.
Cool. Sorry.
Now there is a difference between. Oh no, it's all good. I mean, and there is like regional versions of Spanish. So like the Spanish that they speak in Honduras is going to be different than the Spanish they speak in Mexico. I mean, it's going to be pretty much the same, but there's going to be words here and there that are changed, that are different. And like even in Spain, Spanish is going to be a little bit different too. But yeah. So the one that I watched on Tubi was called Sambo Creek, The Return of La Llorona. And this one was actually filmed in Honduras.
It's actually El Regreso.
Yes. I was just saying the translated name for the folks out there that don't know. But this one, it was okay. I don't know. It had okay, here's a trigger warning for people. It does have a scene of sexual assault, so take that as you will. It wasn't really necessary. It's kind of a weird choice. But anyway, it's kind of like these friends. They're at a party, and they kind of run afoul of the La Llorona, and so she kind of kills them one by one, kind of thing. And the ghost wasn't really in it that much. You kind of get hints that she's around when something happens, which is kind of cool if they would have just kind of went that direction. But they did show her like towards the very end, which the makeup effects were not bad. Were actually pretty decent from what you saw. But the dialogue wasn't very good, and maybe it was because it was translated poorly. That's probably the main thing. But the acting was just okay, and it wasn't super scary. I don't know, and I don't know if there's something lost in translation there, but yeah, check it out if you want. I don't know if I really recommend it, but
it's pretty crazy because the La Llorona part obviously catches my attention because we all saw the big budgeted movie from a few years ago, and then one came on Shudder that apparently was a lot better and more truthful to the Mexican Spanish backstory, because apparently that's been kind of a thing for a long time. So I was looking at it, and did you know there was a movie based on La Llorona from the 1930s? Like, they've been making movies about this forever.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I knew the lore was around forever because people, I get excited about the big budget one, and I tell them about it, and they stop me and tell me we've been knowing this shit. We grew up with this as kids. But yeah, man, now you catch my attention. Talk about there's a 1930s movie about it. I'm gonna have to look into it.
Yeah, and so the last movie I'll talk about is called La Condesa. It's the Countess. That's translated in English, from 2022. And this one was actually filmed in the USA, but it was made by a Honduran production company. This movie was just okay. I wouldn't rush out to see it or actually pay money. It's kind of like a haunted house kind of story, kind of like a light possession, but not. I wouldn't really call it a possession. It's more of a thriller than a horror movie. If you're really curious, check it out. But I don't think it's really. I think I had to rent it on Amazon, so it doesn't really stream anywhere for free that I saw. But yeah, so that's some Honduran horror movies. Like I said, they're kind of hard to come by. And I think maybe that just speaks to partly the culture and just partly the resources that are available to people. I think nowadays with smartphones and stuff, I think it would be easier for somebody to film a movie, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more, in the future from.
You're probing my brain, dude. Here's the way I see it. You got connections over there. I say you and I go over there, save up some cash, and we film an amazing horror movie down there.
Yeah.
We got some friends. We'll call some favors. I see what you're thinking already. We'll get Jed Bryan involved. We'll get Neil to make a poster. I'm seeing through it, man. I got a plan. You got the connections. I got the plan.
I can see the title now. 2 Gringos in the Rainforest.
I'm in.
Oh, man. But yeah, so anyway, hopefully that was informative and entertaining. Don't want to take up too much time because it's not strictly horror conversation, but
people love to hear us bullshit, man. But I'm glad you had fun, and that's what kind of kickstarted the idea for our next segment for the top 5 places in horror, because Andy went to a place that I didn't know about, and I was like, I bet there's some people out there that got some favorite places too, and why not talk about them from horror movies? So, Andy, let's go into our next segment and talk about top 5 places in horror movies.
Let's do it.
So, Andy, I know that I like doing top 5 lists a little more than you do, but I was we talked about always wanting to change it up on the show, and so I was really, really excited to get to do a top 5. And the cool thing about this top 5 is that this is something that it's a topic neither one of us have ever done before.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool topic. It's our top 5 horror locations, and in the world of horror, there's a ton of horrors happen in lots of different locations, from churches, schools, to caves to just normal people's houses. So there's a wide variety of locations to pick from. So it's going to be fun to kind of see where we go with this. Because I don't know if there's going to be any crossover or not.
Yeah, well, and did you do an honorable mention with a 5? That's what I did.
Ooh, I did not. Let me think about that real quick.
The Jeopardy music plays.
Let's see.
There's got to be one that almost made your list, but you took it off. You can just flip that to your number 6, your honorable mention. He just writes Honduras. Okay. The place is horror, man. They ain't got no Taco Bell.
Yeah. Okay, I've got one. Let me look it up real quick. Sorry.
Oh, you're great. You're the one that's got to edit it out. LOL. But,
yeah, I've got it. Do you want to do your honorable mention first?
Sure, man. Tell me when you're ready.
All right, go for it.
All right, Andy, let's just go ahead and start this thing right here. I'm going to do my honorable mention first. My honorable mention, it's going to be The Further from the Insidious franchise. I went with a dimension. So if anybody's seen the Insidious franchise, they know The Further is the dark dimension that is home to many horrifying beings, but most notably the lipstick demon. And so, Andy, I know we're big fans of James Wan, but he did the Conjuring franchise and he did the Insidious franchise, and I found the Insidious franchise to be a little more scary, at least for me. And anytime they go to that dark place called The Further, whenever you astro project yourself and you open up your body to demon possession, hello, that's knocking on my door. I just find that to be a pretty kick-ass place in horror. So that tells you that my top 5 is going to be even better, but I couldn't leave it out.
Yeah, that is a frightening place for sure. I mean, like you said, you kind of lose control of your body, and that's a scary thing. So yeah, it's definitely a good pick right there. So for my honorable mention, this one is kind of like a big area, but
bigger than a dimension.
Oh well, probably not.
Okay.
But, true. Well, I guess another one is that thinking about now. Another one of my choices is bigger than that too. But so this one is the Nevada High Desert. And this is one of those places where you can walk into and things can happen and there's nobody around to help you. You're just kind of out there on your own and you don't really know quite what's out there, what's waiting for you. So, and this is from the movie Horror in the High Desert.
I knew it. A movie I still want to damn watch.
So, yeah, that's my honorable mention, and it's quite scary, as you'll see in the movie.
Yeah, and for anybody that's seen that movie, good on you, because I still haven't, but I know Andy always brings that up when we have the conversation of found footage horror, so it's still something I need to rectify. And we should do some found footage movies on here too, near future.
Hell yeah, yeah.
But cool, man. Love it. Let's go into top 5. I'm going to do the opposite of what we just did. We talked about like wide open places. Well, I'm going to take us to a very secluded place, and I'm going to say the bathroom from the original Saw film. And so I narrowed it down to, there's some movies that can take place in one single location and it doesn't work at all. And this is going to be an exception to that rule because though in the original Saw movie, they kind of leave the bathroom with some flashbacks and whatnot, you do spend the majority of that film in that creepy, dirty-ass bathroom. And there is a point in the franchise, and I wouldn't dare spoil anything, but that bathroom does show up again, and you just get very excited when it does because you remember what it was like to spend all that time in the bathroom, not from Taco Bell, but when you're chained up and you need to cut through your ankle. But yeah, man, when I think about places in horror, I love the Saw franchise, and it all comes down to that first film and what was more terrifying than being trapped in that bathroom, because that was one of the first films to kind of do the whole people wake up in a room with no memory of who they are or how they got there.
Yeah, man, what a horrifying experience. Like, just thinking about trying to do like surgery on yourself in a place like that. Oh my gosh.
You know what was most ironic is the whole time they were there, they never had to use the bathroom. I call bullshit on that part.
Oh yeah, well that would have been a super convenient place for them to be if they had to go to the bathroom. So
yeah, I'd be like, Dr. Gordon, turn around and cover your ears. Hum really loud, bro. But yeah, my number 5, the bathroom from Saw. What do you got for number 5?
All right, so my number 5 is going to be a church, actually. And this is a church in England. And this particular church has some catacombs underneath it. Mm-hmm. And this is the church from the Borderlands, a.k.a. Final Prayer.
A.k.a. another found footage movie on your list.
That's true. This one, if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, but let's just say that our protagonists find themselves in the belly of the beast once they get inside this church, quite literally, and that's all I'll say. But it's quite a freaky ending to the movie. Just being down in these catacombs is claustrophobic enough, but then when you find out where they really are at, it's even more horrific.
Yeah, that's a cool movie. Definitely underrated.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that church had a cool aesthetic too, and it kind of it was falling apart on the outside, but even more so on the inside. And I remember forever you were talking about that movie, and you had spoiled the ending because you didn't know I hadn't seen it. But luckily, I had forgotten. So then I watched the movie based on your recommendation, and then when the ending revealed itself, I remember getting really excited, and it did not disappoint. So I appreciate you not continuously telling me about the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, my number 4 is going to be in some wide open spaces. Back in 1984, I had a tough choice choosing between 2 different campgrounds. And as much as I do love me some Jasons, I got to say I love me some sleepaway camps more. So my number 4 is going to be Camp Arawak.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I mentioned before, never been to summer camp, see them in horror movies, and you would think that would turn me off because I don't want to die. I still want to go to summer camp, man, and it looks like there's a lot of cool things to do there, and why not go hang out with Angela? She doesn't say much, but she cool.
Yeah. Just don't ask her to take her clothes off, I guess.
That's right. But, the thing is, man, like these camps, they always project these as like the places you want to be. Even if you go outside of the horror genre, you watch movies like Ernest Goes to Camp or Meatballs or anything else, it always seems like it's a blast, even if it's just for 2 weeks. But especially with this one here, I mean, you got like archery and you got boats, you got swimming, you got kids cussing all the time, throwing water balloons. It just seemed like a fun place to be. So high on my list.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And it is a great setting for a slasher movie.
Indeed.
Okay, so for my next pick, this one's going to take place in the New York sewer system, of all places.
That's a place he wants to be. Okay.
Yeah. This is from Chud, the movie Chud from 1984. The underground network of tunnels there. I kind of have a thing with underground tunnels, it seems like.
I see a trend here.
But yeah, cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. These are formerly homeless people that have come into contact with something, we'll just say, and it has changed them into these cannibalistic mutants. And the movie's quite a lot of fun. If anybody out there that's listening has not seen it, I'm assuming most people have seen it, or at least heard of it. But if you haven't seen it, go check it out. You'll see a young John Goodman in it. Also John Hurd, and Daniel Stern too.
Yes.
The dude from Home Alone, one of the Wet Bandits. An early role for him, which is pretty cool. But yeah.
And some really cool practical effects too, which you and I absolutely love.
Oh yeah, I mean the monsters look absolutely fantastic.
And I know it sounds kind of crazy sometimes when we talk to people who are listening to a horror podcast to recommend horror movies, but the reality is Andy and I are in our 40s. Everybody in our age bracket grew up with these movies and loved it. But we have a lot of screamers who are in their 20s that know a lot about and will watch any modern movie, but will a lot of times not go back and discover some of the older ones. And so we always want to make sure we mention it, because if we think it's good, we're going to let you know. And Chud is awesome, and I especially love Chud 2, but I know you're a big Chud 1 guy.
Oh yeah, Chud 2 is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, my number 3 is a lot of fun because it's probably my favorite franchise in the world. Favorite places in horror. My number 3 is the Amityville House. And so I will watch any Amityville movie in the world. If it has Amityville in the title, I will watch it at least once. But I get really excited when it actually does deal with the Amityville house. And I know that it's got a tragic history, and, you know, as a media, we've kind of made it into this big thing, and so I do feel bad for that. But at the same time, they did manage to make one of the most iconic houses in horror history, and man, those first few films in that franchise are fucking awesome, and I just love the aesthetic of the Amityville house. And so even in certain movies, when it pops up, even as an Easter egg, it gives me goosebumps. So my number 3, the Amityville house.
Yeah, such an iconic house in horror. You know, those windows that look like eyes, man.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and then you have like the true crime aspect of it.
Sure.
You got Ed and Lorraine Warren went to investigate all that kind of stuff. So it's all fascinating, all fun to learn about. I mean, not fun that it happened, but you know, it's one of those interesting things that you can research. And
did you catch the Easter egg in Late Night with the Devil that dealt with Amityville?
Oh, well, one of the characters, they mentioned
they showed a picture of the house. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
you know,
right.
I jumped off the couch like, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so my next one, this will be my number 3. And we're going to go to the nice little state of Massachusetts. And we're going to go to an abandoned mental hospital called the Danvers State Hospital. And this is from the movie Session 9. Like in 2000, I think it came out. 2001, something like that.
Little David Caruso.
David Caruso, yeah.
CSI Miami.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm new.
But yeah, this is one of those ones where, of course, it's like an abandoned mental hospital, so it's going to be creepy just with the history. But the way this building was made, if you look at it from the top down, it looks like a bat with wings. It's, you know, you have this central building, you have these two, you know, left and right wing that kind of spread out from the main building. So it has a very sinister look anyway. But then, you know, these guys are going there like an asbestos removal crew, and they have to remove the asbestos from this old building because there's a developer that's wanting to renovate it or whatever. But then like some super creepy, scary stuff starts happening the more time they spend in that place.
That's crazy, man. If you like Google image it, this hospital is huge.
Yes.
I'm gonna go. Man, that movie comes up so much on this podcast. We're gonna have to talk about it sometime.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
I know you are. All right. That's cool, man. Getting into the top 2. My number 2, I would not be surprised if it showed up on your list, but if you didn't think of it, I'll say, ha. It's Outpost 31, man. It's the setting from John Carpenter's The Thing. Absolutely love that movie. Has the greatest atmosphere in the world. I mean, it's the U.S. research facility in Antarctica, and I know it's cold as crap, but I would have loved to experience it and been there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the isolation of that, like, there's nowhere to go. Like,
No.
you can't really hide from the thing, you know, so.
But the places you could go were cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you got music, you got some foosball, you got chess on a
yeah.
computer, you got weed. I mean, they had a little bit of everything there.
Exactly, yeah. But, yeah, such a perfect setting for, like, a horror movie like that. The paranoia, the isolation.
Nope.
Just, you know, yeah, you're stuck, and what are you going to do? So, yeah.
If you get bored, you can go on down to the Norwegian camp. That's cool.
Yeah, they're welcome. They welcome people with open arms and faces and all that.
That's right. What do you got for number 2, bro?
All right, so my number 2 is probably gonna be as like a for some people. It's kind of a little bit more obscure.
I think most of your
movie.
list has been obscure, Andy. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So if you're not, this is another found footage, I have to say. But this is the Abaddon Hotel. It's an old rundown hotel that a company called Hell House LLC decided to make a haunted attraction in. And we get to see the aftermath of that in this found footage movie. So the hotel itself is actually a real thing. They actually have a haunted house in that place, and it's open, you know, at Halloween time. But this one, it's not like an extravagant haunted house. It's kind of like just, I don't know. It's not like extravagant. It's not like big and in your face. they kind of have cheap effects and stuff. But the thing with it is just it's so creepy. The things that happen in this. For anybody that hasn't seen it, definitely go check out the movie Hell House LLC. Check out the director's cut or the theatrical version, either one. There's sequels, they're okay, but definitely the original is the best. And this is just a creepy place where it's like it's almost one of those places like once you go in, you never get out kind of thing. And it's just really freaked me out, like especially the first time I saw it.
That's awesome. That's another one I can't believe I've slept on so many times. But every time I go on Tubi and I look for something to watch, something pops up before it. And it is what it is. It's going to take you coming to Dallas and being like, let's watch Hell House LLC. And I'll be like, nah, let's watch something else on Tubi. That's awesome, man. I know you love that movie. I got to watch it. And people are screaming at me too because I know it's well received. But cool, man. Well, it should come as no surprise if anybody knows me really well where I'm probably going with this. But if you're new, first off, what's up? But two, my favorite place in horror, it's from my favorite horror movie. It's Haddonfield Memorial from Halloween 2. We talk about some of the most iconic and best settings for horror movies. And obviously everybody knows and loves and has seen at least one movie from the Halloween franchise. So the town of Haddonfield is not new to you. But the second movie, damn near the whole movie takes place in a hospital, not a mental hospital like some of Andy's choices, but a physical hospital where you go if you have a problem, whether it's a razor blade stuck in your mouth or if you got some serious beef with your sister, like Michael Myers does. And the hospital, like this kind of horror, like medical horror, is kind of scary to me anyway because it's very unsettling. We all know what it's like to go to the doctor or whatever, but they managed to take this hospital that is deserted on Halloween night. Hardly anybody's there. The electricity goes out, and it creates just some of the scariest and best places for the boogeyman to hide. And if I'm being honest, it's a movie I can watch continuously because of so many things, but one of those big things is the setting of Haddonfield Memorial. So my number one, no surprise, comes from my favorite horror movie, Halloween 2. It is Haddonfield Memorial. Andy, if you twist your ankle, that's where you got to go.
Just not on Halloween, though.
Just not on Halloween. Well, I mean, that Michael Myers is a slow Myers. With a twisted ankle, he still might not catch you because Lori, she crawled and she still got away.
That's true, yeah. I mean, that like you said, that is a perfect setting for that movie. It's like another character. The lighting is really well done. They got fish
tanks in the doctor's offices.
Yeah. And I mean, there's many places for Michael Myers to hide and stalk nurses and patients and stuff. I just love that. Yeah.
Did I tell you I got a fish tank here in this house I just came to?
Oh, really?
We got a fish tank. It's in the wall. It's like hella fancy looking.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it out. I don't like water.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, all right, Andy, what is your favorite place in horror?
Oh, my favorite place is like I mentioned. It is bigger than the desert. This actually is a planet, and this planet is LV-426, and this is the planet that they discover an alien ship on, and they discover a facehugger, and this is where the xenomorph comes from. And so I think this is like a really cool place in the world of horror, very iconic, like the ship and the facehugger and all that stuff. A very iconic movie, Alien. Everybody knows the xenomorph, and so I had to pick this as my number one. Just a great start to a great series of movies.
You've just made so many people really happy. You just got some serious props from Ed the Undead and Renee. I promise you, they're big Alien fans. So
job. Cool, yeah.
I still haven't seen Alien Romulus. Have you?
I have not seen it yet. Nope.
Close people tell me pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's great. That's not really the reason why I haven't seen it. I just haven't taken the opportunity to see it, but definitely will check it out soon.
Cool. Man, that was fun. I dig some top fives, but I might dig Late Night with the Devil a little more.
Yeah. Let's move on to our main event.
The main event.
So, I mentioned found footage a lot in our top 5 horror movie locations. And so I guess it's no surprise that our main event is going to be, I guess, a found footage movie, technically, right, Dave?
You know, that's crazy. The whole time I've watched it, I watched this 2 times. It's totally a found footage movie, but it never occurred to me that it was.
Yeah, it's because it's kind of like this unaired broadcast. And so it's not like, it's something that wasn't like lost. Like the broadcasting company or whatever had this, and they just chose not to show it. Or I guess it was live at the time, and they just never, but they had a recording of it too.
You know, that's going to work for a lot of people, because some people can't do found footage because of like the shaky cam, but this doesn't have that at all.
Exactly, yeah. It's like a television broadcast, yeah.
Right. Huh. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, so...
How many times have you seen it?
Twice. I've seen it twice.
Okay, same.
But, I mean, yeah, I guess we'll just run through the plot real quick. I mean, just the setup, it's a television broadcast of a late 70s talk show, late night talk show.
It's called Night Owl.
Night Owls, yeah. And it's supposed to kind of be like a riff on Johnny Carson, which they do actually mention. Yeah, they actually mention Johnny Carson in the film. So, but it would be something that you would see like in the late 70s, late night TV. But this talk show host, he's trying to drive his ratings up. He's trying to get better ratings than Johnny Carson. And it's Halloween night, and he's got to do something spectacular, something to get those viewers butts in the seats. And he decides to have a young lady on the show that just might be possessed by the devil.
So already I'm in.
Yeah, possession, man, right up your alley.
Yeah, dude, I don't know about you, but I love the 70s. And so, like, we watch a lot of TV shows and game shows from that time period. So someone did a beautiful job. This has the full aesthetic of 70s. It's captured so well. And I love the main guy as the host. Like, he totally stands out as like a Gene Rayburn or something. It's perfect. And if 70s TV and 70s horror movies are your vibe, you're really going to dig this movie.
Yeah, they really captured the 70s feel, from the music to just the clothing.
Even when they go on like standby, you know what I mean? Like technical difficulties, like just the media screens are perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Even though I know there was a controversy there when this movie first came out, because one of those screens was made by AI, I guess, or something. But
who the fuck cares?
Yeah, it's fine.
That could have been some dude named Al.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, this movie was filmed in Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't know because the whole thing takes place indoors. But yeah, man, Australia production. So shout out to Australia. Do another one. I'm in.
Yeah. Now I do want to take a moment to talk about the star David Dastmalchian. I just want to take a moment to talk about him because this guy is kind of like an unsung hero in horror, I want to say. I was kind of going through his filmography, and he's been in stuff like one of his first thing was The Dark Knight in 2008. He was one of Joker's thugs. And I think if you see his picture, everybody's going to know who he is. Like, he has a very recognizable face. He was in... well,
he was recently in Suicide Squad. He was the Polka Dot Man. So that's a big one for him. Polka Dot Man,
yeah.
Oppenheimer,
yep. He was in that movie Prisoners with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh.
Oh yeah.
Hugh Jackman, yeah.
He's like Hugh Hefner. I'm like, that close. Both have a dick.
Ooh.
Last Voyage of Demeter. You saw that?
I have not seen that, actually.
You told me you saw that.
Did I?
Yeah, in theater.
Well,
or wait, maybe you saw a different movie and you said you should have saw that one instead. Was that what it is?
That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had a choice between The Last Voyage of the Demeter or Talk to Me. I chose Talk to Me, and I regret it. I wish I would have saw Last Voyage of the Demeter instead. But anyway.
You know, he also played Lester in The Boogeyman, and that is actually something that's really cool. I'm going to segue real quick. The movie The Boogeyman that came out in 2023, I know you've seen that one. We actually had a listener request for that, so I think we need to do that soon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely, for sure.
All right.
He was in Bird Box. He was one of the crazy dudes that tried to get them to look at the things, whatever they were.
Wow, you know, for a guy who hasn't been doing this for a long time, he's showing up in some big projects. Like, he was in the Dune movie. He was in an Ant-Man Marvel movie, so...
Oh, yeah.
I want to show up and just be popular.
And another cool thing is, he's from Kansas City.
Oh, look at that. How come you don't know him?
Yeah, I know. I think he's a little bit older than me, but another cool thing about him, he does a TV series now called Grave Conversations, and he actually had one of our favorite people, Matthew Lillard, on there.
No kidding.
So, and I think it's just on YouTube. I don't think it's like on a, I think it's like a short little comedy, kind of a comedy type talk show type thing. There's only 3 episodes, but
Well, that's good because he's a good host.
Yeah, he had Mike Flanagan and then Matthew Lillard. Nice. And I don't know about the other episode, but anyway, this guy, he is a really cool actor. He's just a cool person. It seems like he's really into horror. He talks about growing up here in Kansas City and seeing the late night, seeing the late night horror host Cremation Mortem here, and so that kind of like really creates a something I can relate to, and so it was really cool to hear him talk about that. But he's just a great actor. Yeah.
Did you see why he was considered for the role?
Oh no, what's that?
So apparently the guys who wrote and directed this movie chose him for this as Cameron and Colin Carnes. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong, but apparently David had wrote some articles for Fangoria back in the day and showed that he was a true horror guy, and he wrote specifically about horror hosts.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so that just kind of his knowledge of horror host and obviously his ability to act helped land him the role as the horror host in this movie. And I gotta say, like, not only did he capture the aesthetics of a 70s host, but I was really intrigued. I need to see more things that he's done because I think he's a great character actor.
Oh yeah, for sure. He is awesome. It's funny, like, and this movie also kind of captures that Halloween feel, like a talk show happening on Halloween. They kind of have some spooky things going on, so I kind of love that. They have the co-host. He's playing the theremin, that spooky thing. And yeah, I love that.
That was my impression. They had bats on strings flying across the camera, which was really cool in the audience. And everybody in the audience is dressed up, which always makes it fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's some interesting people in the crowd too. I feel like, I feel like there's a lot of little Easter eggs, a lot of little clues in this. If you watch it repeatedly, you'll kind of catch on to some things that kind of will key you into what's going to happen later on in the movie.
Yeah, and this thing also has some other things that I really love, specifically to me. And we talk about like the possession stuff, but they also feature different guests on the show who are like a parapsychologist or survivors of suicide cults, magicians, mediums, and stuff like that. And it made for a pretty interesting show. I go as far as say if that had been a real thing, I would have been sitting in front of the tube watching that thing. That would have been the greatest hour of TV ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you had the psychic guy that was probably like a fake psychic. It's kind of questionable. And then you had the guy that's like a debunker, like a skeptic guy come on. And
well, apparently the guy who played the psychic was based on a real live person.
Yeah, it wasn't
of that time period.
Uri Geller, maybe something like that. He's like the guy that said he could bend a spoon with his mind, and
right.
And he did it on TV, but there was, I don't remember now. I don't know the specifics, but it wasn't real. He was like kind of discovered that it was fake or something. But
that makes you an illusionist, sir, not a magician.
Right. But yeah, I thought it was funny. They did this old routine where he would like call it to the audience and say, "I'm getting a name, it starts with an M" or something like that. It's very generic kind of
grasping for straws at this point because damn good and well somebody's gonna bite.
Yeah, but so it was fun. The beginning of the movie was definitely fun, but then it kind of takes a more sinister turn once we kind of get some of the other guests on, and it was a fun ride. I mean, it has some cool special effects in this movie. It had, especially like the vibe of the film changed whenever it went from like the kind of the funny talk show stuff to like the horror. You could definitely feel the mood change. I don't know if it was the lighting that they did or they just really, especially whenever the skeptic guy hypnotized the co-host. I thought that was a really cool scene.
Oh, dude. So you're watching this movie, and I think I know exactly what you're talking about, because you know it's a horror movie, but you almost forget it's a horror movie because the comedy is done so well and it's enjoyable. The people who you like are very likable. Like, everything is going good, but it transcends into horror, and not even like abruptly. Like, it's a very healthy, slow build to it, and then when it gets there, it hits that gas full throttle, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, where this movie goes, it's pretty cool, pretty startling and unsettling, and like when you kind of find out what kind of, what's kind of went on, yeah.
I'm just gonna say, Andy, I have an idea. Like, you and I know this is probably not going to be the greatest podcast in the world, but we're going to have a damn good time doing it. But if we ever get stuck on the ratings and then maybe the downloads aren't there, we should do like a live Conjuring on here. It seems to work out pretty well for people.
Yeah, and then we'll just kind of film it and make our own like found footage movie, right?
That's right. That'll be the podcast that aired on Halloween night, but no one listened to it since.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I like you talked about the effects there, because they do a healthy blend of practical and visual effects, and I gotta see what CGI was in this did not bother me a bit. It was very visually stimulating.
Yeah, it was really seamless. I mean, honestly didn't really notice it that much.
I had to change my shorts.
I know towards the end there was definitely some CG going on, but
it was awesome.
Yeah, it looked good. Yeah,
it really did, and the acting was great. And yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Like, the first time I watched it, obviously you don't know what to expect. The movie reveals its cards, and for me, it just it kept getting better and better as it went along. And at first, the ending left me a little confused, like, as it went on. And then when it was over, I understood, and then I was happy with it. And I kind of had this reserved feeling that I liked a lot of the movie. I kind of wish they didn't do the one thing, but then at least they kind of made up for it. But then after the second watch, knowing what to expect and just seeing it all the way through, I thought it was even better the second time.
Yeah, I agree. The ending kind of threw me off the first time I saw it. And but the second time, it kind of made more sense. It made sense, for the character. Kind of, it's one of those stories about, what are you willing to sacrifice to get, to be famous or whatever, be rich and famous. So
yeah, and it gave me a lot of Rosemary's Baby vibes too.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think about that.
I mean. Yeah,
and I mean, there is some basis in reality with, with like the secret society that Jack may or may not be a part of, like they call it the Grove in this movie,
but yeah,
in real life it's called the Bohemian Grove, and it is like a club where these ultra rich dudes go to this island, and it's very secure. They don't let just anybody go on their island. They have
hell no, because they have orgies there.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody knows. I think I did watch a documentary once where they tried to sneak in there and got caught, obviously, but
with their pants down.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so it does have a basis in reality. Excuse me, there are secret societies out there, and that only cater to like the rich people, the powerful. So it's kind of interesting. It makes you wonder about those kind of people. But
I really like parts of the film that kind of delved into the satanic panic of the time period too. That stuff always is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. I am so into like the whole 80s satanic panic, because I remember when I was a kid in the 80s. And you'd always hear about, of course, I grew up in a very religious home. And so we would, some of the TV shows we watched, they would talk about, they would have these ex-witches on the shows. And they would talk about how on Halloween they would sacrifice babies and people. I'm like, I mean, as a kid, it freaked me out. But as an adult, we kind of come to understand this. A lot of this was just kind of made up. And I doubt that, I mean, I won't say that there's never been any kind of human sacrifices done on Halloween. There's crazy people out there, but yeah, I think for the most part, the satanic panic of the 80s was, a lot of it was just kind of like,
well, it's because the news covered it, man. So if you wanted to get on TV, like serial killers and satanic panic was where it was at. And that's what makes this movie so good too, is because in that time period of the 70s, late night TV was like when TV transitioned to be like an unsafe time, like adults only type broadcast, because you had a lot of, things on the TV show that was family friendly, but when even Johnny Carson had more adult humor than your average TV show. So it was basically like, hey, kids aren't watching, adults can let loose. And so they covered more of that true crime and everything. And so that was something that was really fascinating.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this movie it's just one of those entertaining movies that you can just watch over and over again. I feel like, like I said, you're gonna catch something new each time you watch it. I feel like, especially pay attention to like the audience members, and then towards the end of the movie, you kind of see some other people and stuff. So, I really like that aspect of it.
Andy, there's that one scene, we won't dare give it away, but it does a quick flash, and then David kind of notices it. Did you catch it on first? Because he brings it up later in the movie of like, oh, rewind that tape, let's look at that again. I caught it. I was shocked because I was like, what was that?
Oh, really? Yeah. I guess I didn't catch it.
Okay, and once you see it, you'll know what it is. But cool, man. I know where you're going with this, so I'll help pave the way for you. I think I've already revealed my cards a little too early, but I'll ask you first. Let's give it a rating. What'd you think of this movie?
Yeah, man, this one's gonna have so out of 5 screaming skulls, this is going to get 4 out of 5 for me.
That's what is that gonna be your highest rating so far?
Yeah,
I feel
probably.
like it might be.
Yeah.
Well, we shared something in common. This is going to be my highest rating. This is going to be my first 5 out of 5 Screaming Skulls. I find this to be a damn near perfect horror film. It's got everything that interests me. The acting is great. The aesthetics are great. The time period's great. The execution's great. And you said it earlier when you said this is a film you could watch over and over, and I 100% agree. I think this is one that not only gets better with each watch, but this is also one where if you just don't know what to watch and you're okay with putting on something you've seen before, it's a great background movie. And so, this is a perfect rating for me, 5 out of 5 Screaming Skulls.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that's awesome. And this is like one of those ones you could watch on Halloween night. I think it'd be perfect for that. If you're trying to find some, next Halloween, you're trying to find some horror movies that have that Halloween vibe outside of the Halloween franchise. But yeah, I mean, this is a great movie.
One thing that we consistently have happening on this podcast is I have, up until this point, rated every movie at least 1 skull higher than you, if not half a skull. So I can't wait till we come across a movie that is more in your favor. And maybe that'll be the next episode. We'll see.
Just maybe, yep. So, well, I think that'll do it for this episode. Dave is on the social media there, and so don't forget we are on TikTok, we're on Instagram,
X,
Facebook, yeah, all those. Dave has done a great job. Insta, yeah.
I don't think I'm missing one, but if I am, let me know.
Yeah, and if you listen to us on Spotify, there's also a option to comment on the episodes, so if you feel free to do that, it'd be great. We might read some of those comments on the show.
Absolutely, too, man. And one thing I'll throw out there too is we would love the feedback. So if you guys love the show, give us a 5-star rating, let us know. If you don't, hit us up, let us know. But more than anything else too, for the people that are listening, we take requests. And so Andy, I mentioned before, my uncle actually hit me up. He loves the show, which that's awesome. I don't know how many people's uncle listen to the podcast, but my aunt loves it too. So shout out to both of them. And there's a couple movies that he would like us to cover. So I think that we're going to get to that.
Yeah, man, that's great. Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Anything else?
Nope. So that wraps up this episode. Until next time, I'm Abnormal Andy.
And I'm Phantom Dark Dave.
Thanks for listening to the Screaming Skull Podcast.